Okay, so that was quite the reveal of this episode of Made in Abyss. We come to find out that Riko, she is actually a walking corpse. Huh. So, let me give some clarification. The big white box, which we knew was kind of like the cradle for Riko when she was coming out of the abyss, well, that artifact, relic, that was actually used to bring her back. So, apparently, when she was born, she was a stillborn. She was dead at birth, and she was already long gone. And so, you could assume that, like, the soul was gone, and just the corpse was left behind. Just that was it. And eventually, her body, Riko's body, was thrown into this, artifact relic, probably to transfer out, and unaware that this artifact brought Riko back. Which is very disturbing on so many levels, because from what we found out from Ozen in this episode, is that apparently anything that is revived by this, it tries to go towards the center of the abyss, which is very eerie, which would explain Riko's crazy obsession for wanting to dive into the abyss, even though she's so young, and not really care at all. She's actually been using finding her mother as probably an excuse to really go down into the abyss because of these urges she has thanks to being resurrected. So it's just very dark. So she has this pull to the abyss. And what she said earlier on in this series when she first started to go into the abyss, she says, "The abyss will giveth and also taketh away. Everything will return to the abyss." And from what you can get from those lines that Riko said herself a couple episodes ago, can definitely be applied to here. Remember, the abyss gave back Riko her life. She got reborn. But at the same time, though, the abyss also taketh away. It also gains everything back that it, gave someone else. And so, since it gave Riko her life, now Riko is going back down into the abyss, which is basically saying she's going to give up her life for the abyss. The abyss will take back her life. So it's very dark when you look at it, but also it explains so many things now of why these characters, or some of the older characters, didn't try to stop Riko at all for wanting to climb into the abyss, or dive into the abyss, not climb. And the reason for it was because they were aware of it. Leader was already aware of it. Habo, I think that's his name, he was aware of it. He was aware of Riko's pull to the abyss, and eventually it was going to happen. And since their philosophy on how the abyss is, and how society has kind of warped their mind on how it's fine if children go in it, with that added on top of Riko's condition, it makes sense why they were just trying to prep her up, because they knew eventually it would happen. They would have to part ways, and that's exactly what happened here. Now, besides that, I have to say that this is a very nice reveal, because it does reveal one big thing. We now know that Riko's true reason for coming down into the abyss, it may be a lot of different things mixed in together, but one of the true big reasons, most likely, is thanks to that relic that revived her, and now she's drawn to it. Now she wants to go deeper and deeper. So, that is the true reason. It's not to find her mother, or artifacts, or anything, or even explore. It's just, she's drawn to it. So, besides that, let's talk about Ozen. So, Ozen as a character, instantly gotta say, I absolutely love her design. Like, I loved her casual outfit we saw when she was introduced, but this episode, when we got to see her design and her combat outfit, how she fought, her immense strength when she was holding Reg like it was nothing, I just love her overall character. And the voice actor to how the character is designed in general is absolutely perfect, because the character does not sugarcoat anything. I'm so used to characters trying to be very nice and sugarcoat words and just say, like, oh, it's dangerous or whatever, but that's not what Ozen was trying to say. Throughout the entire episode, Ozen, you can kind of get the sadistic personality from her, but in reality, what she was saying is something very true. I mean, she might have, or could have been a little bit nicer, but in reality, though, what she was doing was out of the kindness of her heart. I mean, some of the things she did was very twisted and fucked up. I mean, she did a lot of fucked up things in this episode, but she was doing it in her own way, out of the kindness out of her heart, for Riko and Reg, for they can survive once they go deeper and deeper, because you know that Ozen's aware of this as well, thanks to, seeing the artifact display, thanks to Meat being reanimated. She knows that Riko would eventually be drawn back to the abyss, and so because of this, Yeah, to where Ozen's like, look, if you're gonna, go down in the abyss, I want you to be ready. But in her own way, she was trying to prep Riko up and train her, or leave her in the middle of the darkness wilderness for a while, before she can survive and learn survival skills, and also what would happen if, for instance, Reg was to knock out. That's kind of what's happening here. So, I do like how Ozen, she was being very evil in the episode. Like, she was just shifting back and forth with her personality, acting like a good person and an evil person, sadistic. It really just shows what the Abyss has done to her herself. I mean, we found out the truth about her hairstyle, which I knew had to be important thanks to the last episode, because the series does not just point something like that out if it's not important, especially a series like this where it has, like, fucked up elements to it. There's just no way that, like, Riko pointing out the hairstyle of Ozen is just not something important. So apparently, from what was found out, Ozen styles her hair like that because she wants to hide up the scars, the marks on her head, which she obtained from going up from the Abyss. As we know, the Curse of the Abyss, it can affect your mind, it can affect your well-being, you bleed out of every hole in your body. Just basically, it's really bad to try to climb back out of the Abyss. And so, Ozen is a perfect example, since she is one of the only people, very few people, to dive very deep into the Abyss and then make it up as a white whistle. Obviously, she's gonna have some permanent wounds, and in this case, she has permanent wounds on her head, which is scars, and so she styles her hair in a way to where you don't see that. She covers it up. I do like that. I do like that aspect to show that she definitely lost probably a lot of her humanity when she was climbing out of the Abyss, which would explain why her character acts like it does. For instance, why she's just so mean or sadistic to some of our characters, like Riko and Reg in this episode, is because she's probably lost a big chunk of herself while she was diving into the Abyss and then leaving the Abyss. It really affected her. And also, added on top of that, we can see that Ozen does have a connection to, Riko's mother. We can actually see that she does definitely care. I mean, she even went as far as to dig up her grave and didn't believe that she was dead, and then she found out there was no corpse. So we do know that Riko's mother is apparently still alive somewhere. So it just shows how connected Ozen was to Riko's mother, how much she cared. And you can see that since Riko is someone that was born from, like, her best friend, basically, she doesn't want Riko to get harmed or hurt, but she's being very truthful. She wasn't sugarcoating anything, and she wanted Riko to understand what she will be facing if she goes deeper and deeper down. And she even put emphasis on the fact that there is things down there that is way worse than she is. Way more cunning, way stronger, just like something you can't even imagine. She was trying to state that, look, if you think I'm powerful, if you think I'm crazy, if you think I'm fucked up, well, there's much worse down there. That was the point that Ozen was trying to prove to Riko and Reg. Now, speaking of Reg, apparently he has a limiter on his cannon blast. His big, like, laser blast, he has a limiter. So if he uses the blast, he will go unconscious in about 10 minutes, which is very bad. I mean, 10 minutes is a lot of time to work with, but at the same time, it's not. Especially if you're in a life or death situation. Because as you go deeper and deeper into the Abyss, obviously, it's going to get much worse. The dangers are going to get much, much worse. And there's going to be a lot of situations to where Riko and Reg, they're going to be in a spot to where he's going to have to fight. He's going to have to use his cannon. And if he does knock out, Riko's defenseless. She has no way to really fight. She doesn't really have a relic to fight with, as we can see. So she's completely fucked. If anything gets near her once Reg knocks out, it's GG. She's going to die. And so that was also the point of this episode, to show how dangerous it is for Reg to just use his cannon willy-nilly. Because if Ozen was really an evil person, that would have been the best time to kill Riko right there. Because you had to where Reg, he knocked out, Riko could have just been beat to death and killed because he was unconscious. And you will even see an example that Ozen was actually slamming him up against the floor, putting him underwater, trying to basically wake him up by splashing water in his face, seeing if he would reawake, but he didn't at all, which shows that when he's out like a light, he's out like a light. He's not getting back up for a couple of hours. So that's dangerous. And that was also to show that they can't always rely on the cannon to get them out of any situation. So anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.